So we're going to start or go over here to NBCnews.com, NBCnews.commercial, and they got this one titled, Attorney General Barr orders reinstatement of the federal death penalty. The subtitle here, Barr also directed the federal government to schedule the executions of 5 death row inmates convicted of murder. And they got a video here you can go watch. I'll put the link in the show more below the video. Just click on it and you can come watch the 2 videos that are in this article. And this was posted actually on July 25th, 2019. Attorney General Barr directed the Justice Department on Thursday to adopt a new rule for carrying out the death penalty, which would restore executions in the federal system for the first time in 16 years. Remember when the criminals came in and were planning out this operation where ultimately it would end with Hillary, that is, the United States would end with Hillary, they removed the death penalty because of what they were doing. And now William Barr is placing it back in place where it should be. There should have always been a death penalty. What a death penalty does is it makes you less likely to commit the crime that leads to the death penalty, especially once you see that we actually do use it, that justice is blind, literally blind justice. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how much money you have, does not matter. The law is the law. If you're going to break it and you're going to break a law that requires death, then you will be executed. That is what keeps people in line. It keeps the criminals out of high positions. Okay, quote, we owe it to the victims and their families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system, end quote, Barr said. In response to the order, the Bureau of Prisons set execution dates for 5 men on federal death row who have exhausted their legal appeals, so they can't appeal anymore. Their sentence is their sentence, so it's completely legit. All of whom were convicted of murdering children in an especially violent crimes. So these people absolutely deserve what's coming to them, and this is a preview of what is coming for these human traffickers, child traffickers, sex traffickers, pedophiles, cannibals, so forth and so on, the Satanists, the satanic cult, and everything else that goes on. 4 of the 5 also killed adult victims. Their executions are to be carried out in December and January. So that gives you a kind of an idea of when executions will be going on. I still think it's the November area, October-November area is when you will begin to see the trials get started for a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, for all sorts of different types of things. Okay, quote, under administrations of both parties, the Department of Justice has sought the death penalty against the worst criminals, end quote, Barr said. Additional executions would be scheduled at a later date, the department said in a statement. And here's the second video here. Since the Supreme Court allowed the death penalty to resume in the mid-1970s after an earlier ruling had declared its application unconstitutional, the federal government has executed only 3 inmates, including Timothy McVeigh, who bombed the Oklahoma City federal buildings in 1995, legal challenges involving the system for using 3 drugs to carry out lethal injections led to court rulings that stopped federal executions in 2003. The problem with this 3-drug system was that if they weren't applied in the correct amounts and at the exact right time, then the person being executed would suffer a lot of pain just prior to a heart attack or to passing away. And so it was brutal in a way. So a lot of these states now that still do the executions have gone to a 1 injection system that works every time and does not create that major pain and doesn't create the issues that they were dealing with back in the last situation there. Okay, so now we're going to be using something completely different as far as injection. And in my opinion, when it comes time to execute these these Satanists, because that's literally what they are. It's a satanic cult that does satanic rituals and things of that nature. And the things that they do and the brutality that they put these children through in order to get the adrenaline high enough before executing the child and then removing the blood to drink, absolutely deserve to go out in a very painful way. My opinion, but it's strictly my opinion. We do know that Trump has already tweeted out several times and mentioned several times that the death penalty these people should have the death penalty. The ones that have committed treason, and that's the outcome of committing treason. So the last federal execution occurred that year when Lewis Jones Jr. was put to death for raping and murdering a 19-year-old female soldier. Barr's order directs the Bureau of Prisons to use a single drug, a powerful barbiturate. I don't know what that word is, guys. Barbiturate, called pentobarbital, in its lethal execution chamber at the federal prison in Terre Haute, India. 3 states, Georgia, Missouri, and Texas, have also used the same drug to administer the death penalty. See, I've lived in the state of Texas where the death penalty has always been in place, and so to me, that's just the way I view things. That's how it should be. If you're going to break a law whose penalty is death, then you should get that penalty. That was your choice. You made the choice to do that. And when you get executed, anyone else who was thinking about doing it, thinking, well, maybe they won't execute me, realize that that's the way it's going to be if you make that choice. And it keeps what I call the honest people honest. The true, genuine Satanist is going to do it irregardless, and in the end, they're going to pay the price. After a botched state execution in Oklahoma, then President Barack Obama directed the Justice Department to review the use of lethal injection drugs in 2014. Pharmaceutical companies that make drugs used by states for lethal injections have refused to make them available for that purpose, further complicating the task of carrying out executions. 60 inmates are currently in the federal death row, but many are still pursuing legal appeals, including convicted Boston Marathon bomber and convicted of setting off a bomb at the Boston Marathon in 2013. Okay, now understand these are people that they're still pursuing legal appeals. So you do not get executed until you have exhausted all your options. So a death penalty only comes when you only get executed under the death penalty only when you have exhausted every option that's available to you, and it is determined that you have done what you've done, and the penalty is execution. Dylan Roof, sentenced to death for killing 9 black worshipers in June 2015 at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, is also among the inmates on federal death row. This is counter to the national trend, said Robert Dunham of the Death Penalty Information Center, a group that opposes capital punishment. The death penalty is disappearing from whole sections of the country and eroding in others. Both the number of death sentences imposed by juries and executions remained near historic lows in 2018. As public support for capital punishment continues to decline, the last Gallup poll showed 56% of Americans support the death penalty, down from a high of 80% in the mid-1990s. And the reason why it's come down, hold on, let me finish this. The question with the administration has been, was it going to follow the national pattern that we've seen, or was it going to be outlier? Dunham said. But the reason why it's dropping down is because they were programming people to not accept the death penalty. That was part of the propaganda, part of the programming systems going through the schools, the TVs, the movies, the stars, and so forth and so on. Remember, they use everything in their power to control where the minds of men go and what they accept and don't accept. So, anyways, guys, that's the end of this article. But remember, we just found out that court TV will be airing any court trials, and most likely we'll be watching these death penalties as well. And like I said, when it comes down to these Satanists and the things that they do to these children, the brutality they do to them, to get them to the point where they are maximum adrenaline flow. Meaning they are so beat, you can't even comprehend the heart-wrenching agony that these little children and babies go through, guys. You can't even begin to comprehend it. These people deserve to be executed in such a way that they suffer until they eventually pass away. My opinion. But if nothing else, they deserve the death sentence and to be put out by injection. And it all should be aired for those who want to watch justice be served. Justice is very important, guys. If justice is not served, you have a land of lawlessness. And in a land of lawlessness, all that exists is lawlessness, corruption, destruction. You've got to have justice. You've got to know your rights. You've got to know the law. And you've got to stand in justice. The only way to get into justice is to be in truth and to know the truth. And then stand with the full armor of God on. Completely armored out. And stand like the scriptures tell you to do, like he told us in Ephesians, like Q told us in the drop. I'll talk with you guys later. Peace be with you all. Get in the Word, stay in the Word, and get the Word in you. It's important, very important, guys. Other than the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the two most important things are truth and love. And next, peace and justice. Peace out, guys.